And welcome to A Joke in the Life of GenJ second radio broadcast. However, for most of you, this is our first radio broadcast, considering our actual first one was done in November when no one even really liked our page. All that aside, I'll be your host today, and, well, for forever. And we have a lot to talk about today. We'll be recapping all three iGoverns, the Hack 5, and some extra away from Camp GenJ madness. In any event, because of the fact I'm completely unable to be funny in any sort of way on my own, I decided to bring in one of the funniest people to set foot on GenJ Camp. And so with that, I'd like welcome to the program the I Govern comedian and straight from the Soviet Socialist Republic of Vermont, Zachary Zupan.
Thank you, Nick. That's very kind.
You're
I'm so glad
welcome.
you're here
How are you
today.
doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And yourself?
Pretty decent. So, we've gone through, or at least heard about, three camps. I know you and I have gone through I Govern East, and there's a lot of crazy stuff to recap. And on top of that, we do also have the Hack 5 to address, which we'll get through after the program. Anyway, down to business. Well, let's get to I Govern West. First, we have the impeachment of Nick Barton and Glenn Birch from their respective positions of Speaker of the House and President pro tempore.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
before we actually get to discussing any real reasoning behind impeaching them, do you have any initial thoughts on hearing that headline?
Ooh, that's really not something I would want to be responsible for if I was ever planning a national campaign. That's intense.
Yeah, the rumor is that the reason why they did it was because they had no reason. So,
Be-
I'm not sure what they thought they were going to. Well, they obviously knew what they were going to accomplish, but I don't understand what the goal there was.
Hmm.
Anyway, so I have an interesting question for you. Put yourself in either Nick or Glenn's shoes. Consider yourself a tyrant, and that's why you're being impeached. If you're Glenn, this isn't really that hard to imagine. But um, say you have an angry mom trying to impeach you. How would you turn into a tyrant just in order to keep your position?
Hmm. Well, first, I would say that you'd need to have planted some titanium spires underneath the ground. So basically, the idea is to fly magnetic helicopters over the area so that they raise out of the ground and create a kind of barrier for you. Once you have that, you can have snipers with crossbows because rifles are in short supply. You can have them scale up these spires and keep you safe. They hopefully don't have to fire a shot. Everyone would be too intimidated by these huge spires, but that's how I'd stay in power.
Okay, so considering that we'd be probably going against many humane laws or anything, if that plan were enacted, then what would you do to the senators or representatives that tried to impeach you?
What rating were we going for this podcast? PG?
Um, like Veggie Tales mixed
Uh,
with I don't know, something evil where they enslave an entire human race.
okay, well, if we're going for kind of Veggie Tales level, I mean, they did have a fiery furnace in the shack rack embedded.
Oh, you'd build a chocolate monument of yourself and then throw them into a fiery furnace. Uh,
I'm thinking more of a bunny.
oh, so let's just a chocolatey Glen that everyone
Oh,
had to bow down to. I
yeah.
Is the furnace worth going into in that situation?
Hmm.
I think I would just eat the chocolate Glen.
That would be pretty cool. Although I think it'd probably, instead of chocolate, be made out of frozen Monster energy drinks.
That's even better because, as we all know, Glenn is a monster connoisseur, I guess.
A
Rumor
monster
has
monster?
that. Rumor has it he drinks 4 monsters a day at camp, and when he doesn't, he gets really grouchy. Anyway,
Yeah.
moving or reconnecting back with just the impeachment of Nick and Glenn. After they were impeached, the uh, after they were impeached, they put uh, one representative. I think it was Caleb. Wait, no, it was Aaron Tackett into the Senate, or no, representatives, and they put Caleb Wood as the president pro tempore in the Senate. And then there were two motions to impeach both of them and reinstate Glenn, and those motions were shot down unanimously. So
Wow.
it didn't seem like Nick and Glenn had too big of a fan base over at West.
Oh man. Nick should have joined Hack 5.
uh, well,
Then again, that didn't help Glenn, so maybe not.
yeah. And moving to the ambassador realm of things at I Govern West, we have Boris the Russian. Now, he's an interesting character. Originally, the Russian ambassador was, um, well, he was drunk all the time,
Oh.
and he was considered a jerk by everyone. He was called for figuratively assaulting a house member, and so Nick and
Figuratively.
yeah, I don't think any real assault went down. Maybe it was just like verbal assault or something. I don't know.
Hate
Um,
speech.
uh, but anyways, both the House and Senate worked on a quick piece of a quick act or something to repeal the diplomatic immunity and the visa of the ambassador, and so they kicked him out. However, he was replaced with a more interesting character, and his name is Boris. Now, Boris was even more drunk than his predecessor, and he apparently was more violent. However, he had a soft spot, and this soft spot was for lovers. And so he formed a Mexican mariachi band. Now, um, how does a Russian form a Mexican mariachi band?
Well, one thing you may not be aware is that we Russians actually have very close ties with Mexican community. We have been studying their forms of music for a long time. We've been kind of secret fans. Like most people are secret fans of Hack 5 before Hack 5 announced their existence publicly. Anyway, I do not think it is much of a stretch for Russians to form mariachi band. We're very similar cultures, you know? We both eat elk besides Mexicans. We both have KGB besides Mexicans. I mean, we both speak Russian besides Mexicans. There's not too much difference, you know. It's not a big cultural gap. Now, one other thing I'd like to say about throwing out first Russian ambassador, I'm not sure that was actually necessary. Because, you know, I would just have him over to house, say, here, let us roast elk and have some discussion. Let us talk this over. You do not need to verbally assault our ambassadors to crush their agendas. You just have to, you know, subvert it. You know, it doesn't have to be so violent. And lay off the alcohol, all right? We don't need you to be drinking vodka at every summit. That is what I have to say.
All right, now, now with this mariachi band, we talked about him having a soft spot for lovers. He he apparently was used as a, I guess, tool for the staffers who caught kids flirting. And we all know the infamous camp no flirting at camp rule, which yeah, it's infamous because a lot of people don't really follow it.
Mm.
Yeah, at least not at West, which was the report. It was reported that a couple was getting too cozy
Mm.
while at the camp, and so the head counselor sent over Boris and his group of serenading mariachi band, or as they're now known as, Boris and the Rainbow Brigade. And they went over and serenaded the sweet couple while they
Bravo.
were sitting there, and I don't think they ever did that again.
That is brilliant. I
Yeah.
really like that. And I've already made known my views that I strongly support the no flirting rule. I mean, if any ladies want to talk me to explain why, my number is 802-362-5788. But it's a great rule. I think that's just brilliant because you run the risk with that kind of rule of coming off too heavy-handed, and that's just a way of making it lighter, but also enforcing the rules, which were good, I think.
Yeah,
I think that's brilliant.
and
I'm glad that I was not serenaded. That would be embarrassing.
okay, so let's put yourself in their shoe, in the couple's shoes. Let's say you didn't oppose the no flirting rule, and you were getting too cozy, and you saw a mariachi band coming your way. What would you do?
Ooh. So you're saying if I supported the rule, but I was also breaking
No,
it?
I said if you didn't support the rule.
Oh, I thought you said didn't oppose. Whew.
Oh, sorry.
Well, those executioner type hoods? They also can be pretty good disguises, I think.
Oh,
So, but I'd say run in the opposite direction of the person. I don't know. I'm putting myself into the mind of a
upon
criminal
running in the opposite direction, you stumble across the Nefex aliens, and they're
here.
about to execute you, and the queen is the only one who can pardon you, except she doesn't listen to men. What then?
Run back in the direction of the girl so I could have some communicator in between us. And now this is like NCIS putting me in the mind of a criminal here, whatever shows they do that on. Because I wouldn't break the
Wait,
rules.
are you comparing people who flirt to criminals?
Yes, they're breaking the law.
So,
Well, at least if they're doing it at iGovern.
so what's the sentence of flirter in your uh since you're calling them the criminal? Just embarrassment, or should they be locked
Oh,
up?
I think it should. I wouldn't lock them up because that's just kind of boring. But I wouldn't say the embarrassment goes far enough. There's a prohibition on cruel and unusual punishment in the United States, but as we were mentioning the facts before, I don't think it has to be a strictly legal thing so much as we just turn them over to the Nefacts. They go into their spaceship outside the jurisdiction of the U.S. and they can punish them however they see fit. We're not responsible for what they do. They are. And they're not under our laws, or unless they're U.S. citizens. I don't know if we ever provided a path to naturalization for the Nefacts. That's what I do,
So
you know.
just for people trying to pursue ill-advised, not very legitimate relationship with another
Right.
person, you would give them to the hands of an alien race.
When you put it like that, am even more strongly in support of it. Yeah.
Okay, that's probably the
And,
greatest solution, actually. Way better than the mariachi band. Um, another
what if the
thing.
mariachi band was really an alien front group and they were all aliens themselves?
Now that's dipping into the world of conspiracy theories, and we don't do that on this show. And I don't do
Oh.
that on my page. Everything reported. Okay, I'm going on record. A joke in the life of GenJ only reports the facts as we interpret them through our highly uh, blind eyes that have the habit of stretching the truth, and so they are facts to us.
I see.
Yeah,
All right.
I went on
But
record with that.
so that means no conspiracy theories at all?
No, not unless they're based in something that's completely untrue.
Oh. Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
so no conspiracy theories with kernels of truth. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so let's act. Here's a little important detail about I Govern West. It's very tiny, rather insignificant. I don't even know why I'm bringing this up. But there was an election at I Govern
Oh
West.
yeah,
Yeah,
those
shocking.
things.
Um,
Uh,
First female president and Gold Party win and bipartisan ticket ever. What do you think about
wow,
that?
that's amazing. I think the bipartisan ticket is very cool. I'd love to find out more about how that works. Talk to the candidates. It's also interesting that first female president. I wonder if she's a Michelle Bachmann fan. I was. Um, I know there's a movement in the homeschooler community opposed to women being in government, isn't there? I've heard a few
Yeah,
people saying
there's.
that.
It seems to be a lot of homeschool Christian conservatives who oppose women running for president, which is why it's such a shock at iGovern that a girl actually won.
Yeah, that is amazing. You know, the only people who I've heard in person advocating that though were girls.
Really?
Yeah, I've only heard girls saying that before, which I thought was
Maybe
interesting.
some girls just like the simple life of staying in the kitchen and the house and the Senate.
Yeah, I think it goes more. They'll say that no women should run. What I think is that it's one thing when the Bible says, "Wives, submit to your husbands." It says that, but it doesn't say that women can't run for office. I think it might say that about women in positions of authority in the church, but not government. So
Translation: Zachary Zupan supports Hillary Clinton.
no, 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 no. Well, I'm more of a Bachman person myself. Um,
What's your opinion on Sarah Palin?
I think Sarah Palin's pretty good. I like her. It'd be cool if she ran for Senate in Alaska. I think she might be thinking of that.
All right. So we've covered about all I know of what happened at iGovern West. Now we have iGovern Pacific, and we're probably gonna have to speed this up. We're at 17 minutes already. Anyways, so the big headline that we received at iGovern Pacific was Nick Barden being thrown out of the Senate. Now,
Oof.
before I go into that on more detail, the reason why Nick Barton was in the Senate is because iGovern Pacific is smaller than the other campus, and so they only
I,
had enough people there to just have a Senate. They didn't have a House, and so Nick
oh,
Barton was a senator. But
I
anyways,
see.
he was thrown out of the Senate because he appealed the decision of the chair on amendment to this bill called the Platypus Bill, which I
Hmm.
didn't really get a lot of information on.
Was
So
it about
sat
Perry?
what?
Was it about Perry?
I don't know. It would seem like it was about something like Phineas and Ferb or something.
Mm.
I don't. They didn't give me a lot of decision. Wait, no. I think it was about uh banning like male platypus. Oh wait, no. The amendment was to give a male platypus to Glenn or something like that. And the reason why Glenn objected to it was because male platypuses are poisonous, apparently.
Ah, yeah, they have a little spine.
And so Glenn overruled that amendment or something, and then Nick used his House of Representatives vocabulary and started yelling, "Appeal the decision of the chair." And
I
so Glenn ordered the sergeant at arms to kick Nick out of the Senate. And
oh
while being taken out, he kept yelling, "Appeal the decision of the chair."
oh
Meanwhile, um, Glenn mumbled he or started yelling, "I am the Senate and
oh
I am the state," and he basically was doing his Emperor Palpatine impersonation, and
oh.
so I have since dubbed him the Emperor or the Tyrant, and I think you, if on the A Joke in the Life of GenJ website, you can find a picture of him in the emperor outfit speaking in front of the
Oh
Senate.
yeah, I saw that. That was brilliant.
It's a completely legitimate photo. That whole entire photo was real, and it was not photoshopped at
Wow.
all.
That,
And
that I didn't realize.
oh yeah, it's completely legit. Nothing's fake about it.
Wow.
So um, next that
Um,
what
I'm just thinking about that's amazing. I didn't realize that had happened. There's a sergeant at arms at I Govern Pacific.
the in well in the Senate, there's always like some guy just sitting down, and I guess whenever Glenn wants to throw somebody out, he goes tells them, and they'll take the person out or whatever. It's
Nice.
kind of like Glenn's guard dog.
I see. Kind of like one of those Crimson Guard from Star Wars. He'd be the equivalent of that, right?
Yeah, that
He's
that
working for Palpatine.
yeah. So Glenn's the Emperor, revealed right here on A Joke in the Life of GenJ Radio. Glenn is a Sith, Glenn is the Emperor, and Glenn is Palpatine, and he runs the Senate. What more evidence do we need?
Wow. I would just caution you, Nick, to keep your eyes on the sky. You might have some drones coming by any minute now. Having said that.
I am being oppressed by the system. All right. The
Yeah.
next thing that happened at iGovern Pacific that got our attention was a filibuster started in the Senate and apparently lasted three whole sessions. So, 3 hours of this guy nonstop talking. They never bothered to give us the details as to what the filibuster was about.
Oh, come on. That's
Yeah,
fair.
it was really bad reporting. We lectured our sources on how they needed to do a better job. We even fired some, and so, however, yeah, I don't think I could talk for 3 hours straight. I tried doing it for 2 minutes, and I always have to just direct all the attention back to you whenever I lose my train of thought. And so that's actually why
Mhm.
you're on this show. Feel appreciated.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, I, do you think you could filibuster for 3 hours?
Oh, yes. I dream of having the opportunity to filibuster. I've thought about running for Senate just because it'd be so cool to filibuster. I would love to. There's a lot of things I could do. You could recite the opening monologue from Richard III, which is pretty long. I have some song parodies I could just sing. It'd be great. And everybody would have to sit there and listen to me. Whatever popped into my head, they'd have to listen to me.
So,
Oh,
um, it's a good thing that uh, he wasn't in the House and attempted a filibuster, because if you speak longer than 5 minutes there, I'm pretty sure the House just turns into a giant mob of angry Americans and they pitch you on a stake and throw you out.
yeah.
All right, the last headline we have from iGovern Pacific: the FEC creates an Inquisition rooms
Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, ba-dum.
or a Bank of Evil room,
Ooh.
and it plays the Imperial March while campers enter the building. I think this is just Fergie and Gruy having way too much time on their hands. But
That's wonderful.
But imagine you're walking in there, and then all of a sudden you see Fergie all the way in the back in the shadow, like looking down at a desk while standing up, and you walk down this long hallway in order to speak to him, the only person in the room, while the Imperial March is going on.
Oh, wow. That would be very intimidating. But it's just so cool. I wish they had that at East. Because I got fined a couple times for some clutter in my room, alleged clutter. Wasn't really sure
The
that.
secret to not being fined on room inspections is to leave chocolate bars
Oh, I
or any
didn't know.
other form of candy.
That's very valuable information. Thank you.
However, if you want to get fined, you write Fergalicious a Love FEC form, and instead of actually filing your actual form. That won't end very well, but it'll be fun.